Hello, Governor. Today we're going to be talking about Slicer Hired Muscle, and we're going to be talking about some of the corner cases that apply to it, and we're going to do a little rules break, buddy. Don't you love it when your friends in Magic say, here, hold this for a second. You guys know how it is, right? You get together with your bros, a bunch of old men, you're in a smoke-filled room, right? And then you're over here, you're harumph, and you say things like, oh, heuristic study isn't that good, and you should run more lands, you fool. When the Transformers cards came along, we were all pretty dismissive. We sat around just saying these are garbage, right? I'm not sure if it was because there were screenshots of cartoon art or that they didn't fit in with the universe or what. But recently, my buddy Marshall played a Slicer deck, and now I'm reconsidering my whole outlook on the world. Alright, let's read this monster. You got Slicer, Hired Muscle, 4 and a red for a legendary artifact creature robot. Has more than meets the eye. You can cast the other side for 2 and a red. Has double strike and haste. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of Slicer until end of turn. If you do, untap it, goat it. Can't be sacrificed this turn. If you don't, convert it. Now that's a 3/4. And on the other side, you have the high speed Antagonist. It's got living metal. As long as it's your turn, this vehicle is also a creature. It has first strike and haste. When it deals combat damage to a player, convert it at the end of combat. It's a 3/2. So the basic game plan with this is that you play it out on turn 2 or 3. You bang into opponent because it's got haste and it's off to the races, right? You're passing it around. Pretty soon Slicer's racked up 18 damage on everybody. It's a 3/4 with double strike, and everyone is just kind of nervously eyeing the rogue's passage that just appeared on your side of the battlefield. Turns 2 and 3, everybody's still setting up their game plan, while Slicer's out there already enacting the game plan. The plan is to swing in hard and fast. Somebody at the table needs to remove this guy or everyone is dead. Now, this probably isn't CEDH viable, but it's surprisingly powerful in a casual meta playing powerful decks. Seems like a simple strategy, but there's a surprising amount of nuance and rules to the build, and the deck brought up a lot of interactions that I wanted to talk about today. I decided to do some research into the comprehensive rules and explain some of the corner cases. Alright, so in this episode, we're going to talk about cards, right? That's what everybody's here for. Yeah, but also we're going to talk about rules. Now, you might be saying to yourself, oh, I'm mad now. This guy told me things I already know. I'm going to thumbs down the video. I'm going to go outside and just chop a hole in a tree. Well, remember, I don't know who you are, right? I don't know what you know. Different people know different things, brother, and that's the diversity of the human race. I just thought this was an interesting commander, and I wanted to talk into a microphone for a few minutes.
Well, hold on,
Alright,
dude.
back to Slicer. Before we go back to Slicer, I want to talk about Assault Suit. 4 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has haste, can attack you or planeswalkers you control, it can't be sacrificed. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of equipped creature until end of turn. If you do, untap it. Has equipped for 3 generic mana. The second ability creates an effect with a set duration. I was playing a game with this on my commander, a Voltron monstrosity Sir Gwyn, and my buddy had control of it, right? So he was running white and green and had an effect that could destroy the Assault Suit. It was asked whether I would gain control of the creature at end of turn, and I don't remember what we decided because the active player decided to destroy something else. Alright, so after researching this, it appears that the effect that gave him control would end at the end of turn. Basically, Assault Suit creates an effect with a set duration. But if he destroyed it, the first ability goes away and it could attack me, right? No. That leads us to our second rules break, Rule 508.1a. This is in the Declare Attacker step. The active player chooses which creatures that they control, if any, will attack. The chosen creatures must be untapped, and each one must either have haste or have been controlled by the active player continuously since the turn began. So he couldn't attack me with my commander unless my commander, that he now controls, has haste in some other way. So you see, as stated above, a creature that you've taken control of needs to have haste or be under your control continuously since the turn began. So cards like Active Treason, right? 2 and a red for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. This card's been reprinted about 450 times. This creates the same effect with a set duration and gives the creature haste so that you can attack with it. Red has tons of cards that do this, and it's a real strength of the color. I've talked before about Mob Rule and how good those effects are. And you want to contrast that with the blue flavor of control. You have Control Magic, for example. 2 blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature, you control enchanted creature. This doesn't create a continuous effect with a set duration, it just happens. Now, if the enchantment is removed, then the effect goes away. Unless you can flash this in before your turn, you can't attack with the creature you stole if you cast it during one of your main phases. So that brings us to the soul ruling on control magic. Gaining control of a creature doesn't cause you to gain control of any auras or equipment attached to it. So just because somebody has an equipment on the creature you stole doesn't mean you can do anything with it, including moving it or sacrificing it or whatever. Alright, that's going to lead us back around to Slicer. Remember, if Slicer has equipment on it, say Basilisk Collar, right? 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink has equipped for 2. So this thing's attached. Then I give Slicer to my buddy Fargus over there. I get the life from Lifelink, right? Well, no. While I control the equipment, Fargus controls the creature. Basilisk Collar adds text to that creature. Read it again. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. You dingus. And let's contrast that with Argentum Armor. 6 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +6/+6. Whoa, buddy. Whenever equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent. Has equipped for 6. That's a big Slicer, right? That's doing some damage. And guess what? I control the equipment, right? If Slicer's my commander, I control that equipment, so I get to destroy target permanent. A better example that contains both of these things is Sword of Hearth and Home. 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and from white. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own, then search your library for a basic land card. Put both cards onto the battlefield under your control, then shuffle. Has equipped for 2. So the creature itself has +2/+2 and protection from green and white. But you do everything in the second paragraph. Alright, and the same thing goes for auras, right? You have some auras say enchanted creature has or enchanted creature gets. And cards like Shiny Impetus, right? You got 2 and a red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. So you control the enchantment, you make the treasure. The creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Contrast that with Draconic Destiny. 1 red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has flying haste, and this text, 1, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a dragon in addition to its other types. When enchanted creature dies, return Draconic Destiny to its owner's hand. The enchantment puts the text onto the creature itself, so Johnny Applesauce over there doesn't have to activate the ability if I give him Slicer, right? If they don't want to. Yeah, Slicer's a real interesting one. If you wanted to lean into equipment, you can use cards like Brass Squire to cheat equip costs. 3 generic mana for an artifact creature. It's a mirror. 1/3. Has tap, attach target equipment you control to target creature you control. This is great because it can be activated at instant speed, brother. Yeah, and listen, while we're talking about cards that are just good in Slicer, let's talk about Ketis Emberclaw Familiar. 1 and a red for a legendary creature, Elemental Lizard, right? Whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent as partner. Ketis, dude, this guy loves molten metal, and guess what Slicer is? It's molten metal. It's searing flames, dude, and Slicer gives head scratches. This deck is all about combat damage. Each time one of your opponents gets touched by Slicer, this guy drains the table a little bit. It's awesome for 2 mana. Oh my god, look at this art on Built to Smash. I don't know what these robots are doing, but it's something I probably have to explain to my kids and just say, hey, listen, when a robot loves another robot, okay? Stuff happens. So this is a red mana for an instant. Target attacking creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. If it's an artifact creature, it gains trample until end of turn. I don't have to tell you why this is so good with Slicer, especially if it's going to be a 6/6, or it's going to be a 6/7 flinging in with double strike damage, dude, and trample. Come on. So all in all, Slicer's very interesting commander that can be built pretty cheaply. You can layer in some combat tricks, enchantments, equipment. You'll get a few players for sure with commander damage. You really need to pay attention to the game state and what players are doing. Has some really great interactions and was interesting enough for me to look at some rules cases and understand the mechanics of this card more deeply. And that's Better Commander, dude. Sneaky G from Better Commander signing off.